Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our third session. We're still looking at Genera Teaching Techniques. I am Kabazira Dina, lecturer, Mount Eyes of the Moon University. We were into a course unit called Teaching Techniques, and we had worked on or looked at the teaching cycle. The teaching cycle, I've told you how it flows. Here we are into the teaching cycle according to these two guys, Meronat Kin and Robert Kapless. They argue that effective teaching, you know, when we say effective teaching, it's teaching that has results. If I teach and students haven't learned, that's not effective teaching. That effective teaching and learning cycle involves 5 key elements. If you remember the second session, we talked about the cycle. They could have been 5 or 6, but he's just repeating them, and it is basically for emphasis that we're repeating these. Number 1, he talks of engagement. Engage the students first to identify what they know, what they don't know. If it's general teaching techniques, what do they know about teaching techniques? What don't they know? Then we go to a stage called exploration. Allow learners to interest themselves into the concept. Raise questions. Identify points of dissatisfaction. These are the needs. Where are they lacking? That's the exploration stage. Another stage is that term introduction. The term I'm introducing to you right now, ladies and gentlemen, is teaching techniques, the tricks of teaching. So when I introduce to you this term, we discuss about it. It's unfortunately that online we cannot discuss, but I gave you my assignments as I was teaching in the previous sessions. You will discuss and maybe share with me. I'm doing a little bit of explanation. That means I'm at the introduction stage. Number 4, the term introduction stage. Number 4, we are on to concept application, the exercise. You remember in the previous session we talked about exercise. The application allows the students to cement the knowledge before evaluation. I gave you an assignment in the previous session to draw a scheme of work. What am I doing? I want you to practice, to cement, to concretize the knowledge about the scheme of work. After that, we talked about evaluation. That's assessment. We talked about it. To him, those are the 5 stages. And for you, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say we have understood the concept of the learning and teaching cycle. We have said it's a continuous cycle that has no end. From the start, where we have to identify the need, to modification, and then the cycle continues. These are the cycle. Maybe at one point I can ask you to elaborate, to show me how they flow in your class. From the need identification to the modification. Modification is informed by the feedback that we get. The feedback, we get it from evaluation and assessment. That's the cycle. We will move to another level, the teaching profession. At some point I told you about Jesus Christ as a teacher, the best teacher we have ever had. I have not told you about Muhammad, the best teacher the earth has ever had. Can we say they were professional teachers? You can discuss in your groups and see who is a professional teacher and who is a teacher. Was Jesus Christ a professional teacher? You can discuss that. Am I a professional teacher? You can discuss that. This is an assignment for the students that they can take. What makes teaching a profession? We have said Jesus was the best teacher, the rabbi. Was he a professional teacher? Muhammad's teaching still runs. Was he a professional teacher? Having looked at the cycle in the previous one, having looked at the professional teacher and given you the assignment to differentiate between a professional teacher and an ordinary teacher, we're going to be looking at the duties of a professional teacher. The duties of a professional teacher. You can help yourselves to understand who is a professional teacher by referring to our set number 1, where we define who is a teacher, what makes a teacher professional. Is he or she the one who has gone through training, or the one who hasn't gone through training? Like I told you, I was giving you an example of Prophet Muhammad. I was talking about Jesus Christ, the best teacher we have ever had. What makes them teachers and not professional teachers? Then we come to the duties of a professional teacher. Me and you are professional teachers. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to do things differently from how other people do their things. If I'm teaching, I must teach like a professional teacher. If you're teaching, you must teach like a professional teacher. And these are the duties we can look at. A teacher is supposed to motivate and encourage the students to learn. A teacher who does not motivate, a teacher who does not encourage the learners to learn, is not doing it professionally. Come and teach in class, it's done. For us, we're supposed to motivate. In primary school, we're supposed to sing, to dance, reward students, even at secondary level. When you're teaching, you must motivate your learners with thank you very much. Give them a bonus here and there. That's what makes us professional teacher. A teacher is supposed to create conducive atmosphere in the class. Mathematics teachers sometimes were rude. You know, we come to class, we're left-handed most times, we're writing on the chalkboard and it's making noise. The environment is kind of tensed up, But professional teachers were supposed to have an atmosphere that is conducive, a good, well-decorated class. For us, we are supposed to have a class that is clean, with good rows and columns, with charts, with teaching aid and learning aid. That's what makes us professional teachers. We are not only having this kind of relationship with the students, but with also staff. If you're a professional teacher, most times you've heard people say, he's acting like not a professional teacher. He's not a professional teacher. I've heard people say, you are embarrassing the profession. When you see a head teacher defiling a child, we say, you are embarrassing the profession. Your relationship between you and the student is an unhealthy one. That is our duty number 2. We are supposed to serve as models. It's unfortunate sometimes we have teachers who are just doing the opposite. They are the people with a dirty collar, they are the people with a smelling kind of, and they are coming to class. They are the teachers with very dirty shoes, and that makes it a profession that people don't like. We're supposed to be models. We're supposed to be people they can admire. We're supposed to create influence. Most people say, Madam, I want to be like you when I grow up. And for you people, when you are in class, people should say, I want to be like teacher so-and-so. Let us be models so that the pupils can emulate us. Sometimes the pupil can emulate the drunkard. That's a bad model, which I discourage anyone to practice. A teacher is a dispenser of knowledge and must be well enriched and a resourceful person. You can't teach what you don't know. It's very difficult to teach what you don't know. When you're teaching, remember in our modern method of teaching or modern view of teaching, we have a little bit more knowledge than others. The teacher must be capable of promoting morals, like I've discussed with you. A teacher who comes to class when he's drunk, a head teacher who defiles a child, or a teacher who impregnates a P6 or P2 girl, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. The morals are really questionable. A teacher must prepare to learn all the time. In my previous sessions, I was telling you how I'm ready to learn. I learned a few things from my students. Be ready to learn. Be ready to research. You don't learn if you're not going out to research. Always carry out research before you go to class. Learn new things and learn a few things. A teacher must have a positive influence. This one I've talked about it. If you're to be of importance to a learner, be the best you can be. It's unfortunate for us teachers, Even when we want to go out of ourselves and behave like the worldly people, but we're teachers. You find yourself, you want to go somewhere and but you remember, I'm a teacher. You can't do that. So you must be of positive influence. I would want to go outside and eat lunch in a kafunda, but I'm a professional teacher. My students will find me there. I'm moving to my home. I want to be chewing a sugar cane, but I'm a professional teacher. Teachers are not supposed to do that. There are many other things that teachers are not supposed to do. Let other people do them, but for the teachers, we're supposed to be of positive influence. A teacher must be competent and have professional qualification. I don't know, like we're discussing our Muhammad, our Jesus, they did not have the professional qualification. They have not gone through the training. They have not gone through the colleges. They have not gone through a program that is approved. For us, the professional teacher, we must be competent. After this training, I know my students will be professional teachers. A teacher must be able to communicate effectively. This one we are about to talk about, we are going to talk about teaching. You can't teach if you're not communicating very well. You cannot be of positive influence if you cannot communicate properly. For the teachers, we must communicate effectively if learning is to take place. You can go to class and talk. Sometimes when we teach and learning hasn't taken place, we say you've been making noise. That one becomes noise. He must be capable of meeting emotional, physical, intellectual, and social needs of the student. How can you teach the students that you don't know? They have their needs. If you want learning to take place, know your students, meet their needs. Most times in our classrooms, we have different students from different backgrounds. The learners, they have their issues. Please, if you're to be a professional teacher, meet their needs. I'm not saying you buy for them what they miss. Talk to them, counsel them, guide them. You should be capable of helping students to develop attitudes and morals. This one, if you cannot help the students to develop positive morals, good morals, you're failing us as teachers, and you're failing me as a teacher trainer. A teacher should be able to help students develop critical thinking and scientific attitudes to life. That's why we teach research. That's why we give you exercises to develop your critical thinking skills, your problem-solving skills, your scientific attitudes to life. Teacher must be able to cater for the students' individual differences in learning and wage war against mediocrity. Mediocrity is this slow or low achiever. If you are a teacher and you're in a classroom of 50, I can tell you there are those people who will learn and there are those who will not learn. But as a professional teacher, we must be able to understand our students and be able to cater for them. Those that need attention, you give them attention. The fast learners, they can move. A teacher should be able to evaluate his own performance. Like I said, on our lesson plan, there is a section for self-evaluation. You cannot be a teacher who doesn't evaluate him or herself. You don't mind if you're making an impact. You don't mind if you're causing any influence or if you're causing any change. We must be able to evaluate ourselves. Teachers in the early era were respected because they were diligent and morally upright.